thumbs up. Okay, this is not good. Let's see. I don't know why this will come back to me. Let's try again here. Okay. Okay, welcome once again. My name is Enoch. Some of you might have heard of my name already, or might have met physically somewhere, or in the OpenStreetMap world. So this afternoon or this morning, we are going to look at OSGeo Live, which is kind of made up of two words, OSGeo and Live. But before I start telling you about OSGeo Live, it would be nice to understand or have a quick idea about what is the OSGeo, and of course, we are in the OpenStreetMap ecosystem here. So we are all OpenStreetMap experts or have some knowledge about OpenStreetMap. So I get the time and use the opportunity to also tell you about how OSGeo and OpenStreetMap are connected. So without wasting much time, please, if I'm going too fast, just unmute yourself and tell me to slow down. And if I'm too slow, tell me to speed up if you want. I don't see the chat regularly, so you can unmute or you can prompt me. Good. So the OSGeo, this is the new logo of the OSGeo. This is the Open Source Geospatial Foundation. It's a global self-conferred membership movement and organization that anybody can join. It's free, open, and global. And the goals of this movement is to support and provide legal support organizational for projects in the geospatial domain. Some of OSGeo projects we already know about, but most people don't have the idea or know about what the OSGeo is, but most of the projects or some of them we are using in our daily lives. Of course, I use OSGeo projects almost every day, or it's interfering somewhere in my work daily. So I mentioned already, it's a not-for-profit, which was started around the ecosystem of creating free and open source software for geospatial needs. The OSGeo is volunteer driven. I don't work for OSGeo. I volunteer with OSGeo within the OSGeo Live project team. So the group of volunteers making sure that the OSGeo Live project is up and running, and a couple of other OSGeo related activities. So it's run, there are no staff, the board is not paid, there is nobody who is paid within the OSGeo. So there is no staff, membership is running it. So promotes adoption of open geospatial technology through partnerships, open standard software, and education, as I am using the opportunity here to share some of this with you. Just a brief of history is that the OSGeo started way back in 2006 in Chicago with financial support from Autodesk. Some of you might have been using some tools that start with Auto, so you know the company here. Of course, OpenStreetMap is older than OSGeo. It has been around since 2004, which we celebrated recently, was an anniversary. OSGeo arose from the need to have software, or the need because the geospatial field was rapidly developing, and then there needs to be a lowered barrier with equal access to everyone. It doesn't need to be paid for, even though it can be paid for in order to use the tools and projects. And the need for this, the founding members and some of the leading OSGeo projects you have seen or might have heard of this GDAL, which is used by both proprietary and free and open source software tools. Map server, QGIS, of course, just favorite, which almost everyone knows about, and GrassGIS and PostGIS. So these are the projects that the foundation started the Open Source Geospatial Foundation movement. In the OSGeo, software, of course, is one part, but it's not all about software. So supporting of open source software development involves not the software or the tools themselves, but people as well. So talking about projects, the OSGeo has this might be a bit out of date because last year I also did a similar presentation to the previous cohort. So this slide is not updated to the recent number, 25 plus graduated projects will go through incubation. So from the previous session, someone asked if they could put ODK Central in the OSGeo Live project, which I talked about. So if you want to include the project in the OSGeo Live tool, then it needs to go through incubation. It could become an OSGeo project, or it doesn't necessarily need to be an OSGeo project. So we have web mapping, desktop libraries, and special database. These are some OSGeo projects that have gone through the incubation or already started the foundation, like QGIS. And there are also community projects. So these are projects that are run by communities, not like necessarily OSGeo projects. So Actinia, and some of them I have never used Actinia, or I've not used all of them, but these are projects, and when it fits your need and tools, you use them. And 6 in incubation. So this image kind of shows some OSGeo and family projects that are available in the ecosystem. OSGeo project, of course, love OSM data, and the community also have a lot of overlaps. That's how come I contribute to OpenStreetMap. I'm an OpenStreetMap contributor. I do this for fun, and I teach people about OpenStreetMap, and I try to do it every day. So I discovered OSGeo through OpenStreetMap, becoming an OpenStreetMap contributor. So that is how come the same way, similarly, OSGeo projects love OSM data. GDAL, which some of us might have heard of or have used from the command line or from QGIS or from other geospatial software, has out-of-the-box support for OSM data. That is when you are able to use the .osm file in QGIS without any stress, because GDAL is the one handling this kind of stuff. Leaflet, of course, when you go to osm.org, you have the map there, it's leaflets, but OSM data plays well with both open layers and leaflets. There are map services that you can use in tools like MapBender and QGIS out of the PG routing, which is used for routing and other lot of analysis, uses OpenStreetMap data. It's built around the OpenStreetMap data. The same way, OSM contributors or the community also love OSGeo projects. And QGIS, which is one of the loved one, has many plugins and tools or extensions that you could use for handling or presenting OpenStreetMap data in a nice and meaningful way, and a couple of variety of software that assist. Just like the OpenStreetMap community, that is referring here to the OpenStreetMap Foundation or other communities within the OpenStreetMap community. OSGeo also has an annual general meeting, which talks about many things. If you are interested, this gives you more idea about the projects, how they are being run, and how you can also be involved in many of the projects and many more. I mentioned that it's a not-for-profit, so that means there's a board. It is 9 board members. There will be an election soon, elected by chartered members, which I talk about soon. This board is not paid and all run by volunteers. Membership of the OSGeo is self-conferred. As I mentioned, anybody at all can become a member of the OSGeo. There are no legal bindings or any documents you have to sign. You sign up to a mailing list or sign up to a project that is of your interest, and there you go. This statistic's a bit old, but you can see that as of November 2021, OSM already has 8.1 million users, and we can't compare this directly to the kind of members having the OSGeo mailing list or that are chartered members. Chartered members here is those who participating in the community and willing to be nominated or nominated to be able to vote for the next board member. So basically, the goal of charter members is to recruit more charter members, of course, spread the OSGeo community, and also elect the next board. Local chapters, the same, exist in OpenStreetMap communities that organize events and run local events and many others. Local chapters, I think, inspired by OpenStreetMap, or all the same from the Wikipedia movement, somehow you could see. Example of such local chapter is OSGeo, which is the German language local chapter for OSGeo. Similarly, is the same local chapter for OSMF in Germany as well. So I'm telling you that it cuts across many levels, the same way OSGeo and OSM have local chapters across like Italy or Oceania and so on and so forth. Annually, there is a global conference called FOSS4G, which is the same level as State of the Map. Last year, or no, this year, State of the Map and FOSS4G happened in Firenze, in Italy. Telling you, the same similar people running the conference. It's an overlap between the community, more or less. And physical events unite people the same way. And FOSS4G, which is the annual event I mentioned, could be local, regional, or global. It's a blend of both free and open source software for geospatial and OpenStreetMap. I bet you can go to an FOSS4G conference and then you will not hear OpenStreetMap, or there will not be a workshop that is using OpenStreetMap data in it, or something of that sort. There's supposed to be a video here, but I think I messed up something, which is why it's not showing. FOSS4G, which is a event conference, but of course, State of the Map, FOSS4G social event. It's not always about software, but the people also making the software, documentation, and the community itself. So there's dancing to so many more stuff that makes everyone happy. I mentioned this already. FOSS4G is the kind of trademark for this OSGeo related events, and happens across continents. Community sprints where you can meet and ask the people doing the stuff, or maybe contributing to QGIS or your favorite tool that is OSGeo project, and then learn from them, also contribute as such. And one interesting one I remember from 2018 was in Dar es Salaam during FOSS4G 2018, which was also in Dar es Salaam. You can meet people and talk. I think this is, you can see ODK sample in this image. I remember this moment as I was present myself. If you are a software developer, or you write documentation, or you are interested in contributing code to the OSGeo projects that you love or interested in this, OSGeo is an organization in the Google Summer of Code where mentors are provided from the pool of all projects. And then you can be supported to contribute to this. So you can check this out if you are interested in, and also for documentation. It's contributing to open source, free and open source project. It's not all about codes or computer programming, but also documentations are very vital part of all this. There are sessions at major conferences like booth that you can come talk to somebody speaking about OSGeo or something, and also participate as well. Mentioned, it's not all about software, but beyond the software, what lies there, it's about collaboration, about open data. Of course, community members promote this as well. Open standards, this is very important, because with open standards, we avoid vendor lock-in. I made a simple example. I keep making one example is if now in this day where you can just stream music from an application on your phone or your computer, maybe you still use a MP3 format, or you have a recorded audio, and you want to be able to play this format. If MP3 or the audio format is not an open standard, other tools might find it difficult to play this for you. So with open standard, it's easier to access and also ensure that innovation is at its peak. And open education, we learn, teach without barriers. And open science, of course, share publications, share the data, and your findings as well. And last but not the least is what we call MOUs, which allow for partnerships started in 2011. These are some of the recent ones, and where Hot US is part of them from 2021 to work collaboratively and also get inspiration and supporting each other from the OSGeo at other levels. So if you are already in the OpenStreetMap ecosystem, a big question that might be asking that why is OSGeo and the OpenStreetMap Foundation not signing a memorandum of understanding? This several times before the recent MOUs with OSM organizations like the Youth Mappers and Hot US. There have been discussions, and it all boils down that the community cuts across. Of course, I contribute to OpenStreetMap every day, and I'm here talking about OSGeo Live and OSGeo to you. So you can see the synergy in the community. So after a couple of discussions, yeah, I think a new category was created for the OpenStreetMap project itself as a whole and the foundation that is like-minded organizations. Hence, that is why if you didn't see OpenStreetMap itself there, this is the reason why there are no MOUs between the foundation. Maybe I've not clarified much, but if you are interested in that side, I think the board is the best to reach out to, but our wiki has information about all this. For those in the educational sector, that is universities or government, laboratories, and many more, the Geo for All project, it's what you should be looking at, which is very interested in providing equal and open geospatial education to everyone. From the last time I took this screenshot was 2017, where you can see just a few labs across the world. I think even the one from my country, Ghana, is no longer existing when we check the recent map. And this brings me now to where we are here today, or why I'm here today to tell you about, which is the OSGeo Live project, and also gives you some motivation. So OSGeo Live, speak more about it. It's an operating system. If you don't know what an operating system is, when we switch over, I try to create some analogy or explanation to it. And it contains tools, or most of the OSGeo, all of them, including OSGeo projects and free and open source projects for geospatial that you can run. It has some data, of course, OpenStreetMap is there, has documentation and quick starts that you can use to learn, teach, run workshop, and also run live works, that is use it for your current work or as a current workstation. Without much ado, I will pause here and then can answer some questions about the OSGeo and up to here before we jump now to OSGeo Live. Thank you.
Awesome. I can't see any questions in the chat yet. In case you have any questions, please feel free to unmute yourself and ask.
Okay, I believe we are good. And I am doing not so bad job, I would say. I wouldn't say good because you don't say anything, so it means it's either good or bad. So it's midway. Can
I ask a simple question?
Yes, please.
Is there a reason why the group in Ghana is no longer existing?
It's a lab. This lab is at the University of Ghana. And the last time I checked, it's no longer working. Maybe the one who was responsible has moved to university, and the other staff is not willing to take it on. It's a lot of things. I'm not sure, but if you are in a university or you are University of Ghana, the Geo for All team will be the best group project to contact if this is something that is of interest to you.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Yeah, but also you can hit me up and then let's see. Okay, so I will switch gears And let's see where we can reach. We have, yep, 30 minutes. That should be fine. Come back here and share screen. And I can share this. Okay, let's see. Tada. This should work. All right. Okay, I'll go to just home and then we can start right away. So this is the logo for OSGeo Live. I have really zoomed in so everybody can see, but come back here. Okay, so the last release for OSGeo Live was 15, just a couple of weeks ago that we made it the main release 15.0. Now, I mentioned that OSGeo Live is an operating system. Before I create a lot of confusion, the last time, the previous session in the morning, I asked if to just make a reaction, a thumb up if you know about Linux, or if you have heard of Linux or Linux operating system before. Just a thumbs up, like if you have heard of it, would be nice. Just a thumbs up. I check quickly the reactions to see if somebody has reacted. Okay, I see one. Yeah, 2, 3. Okay, that's fine. Thank you very much. At least I got a reaction this time. The last time there was no reaction. I'll go back here, share screen, and this one. Here, good. So, but the thumbs up doesn't mean that we all know. So I also don't know what an operating system is. So let me see if I can try to explain to myself and explain to those who don't know. I'm sure we are all joining from a computer, maybe a Windows computer, or this computer is running Mac OS, or you are joining from your phone, which is having Android, or your phone, which is having iOS, the recent one, or some kind of version on it. Now, when I was in primary school, I was taught, or maybe mid-primary, were taught that an operating system is a software that's turns on first when you boot the computer. So when you turn on your computer, the first thing that you are seeing, my teacher, I remember, was saying this was the computer. It doesn't mean that the logo, maybe if you're using Lenovo, not Lenovo, but there is something you see, maybe Windows 7, Windows 10, Windows 9, and so forth, and so forth. So with all those in mind, the operating system with my maybe basic or how I have come to define it so that everyone can understand is, we all know a drawing board. You put a drawing board on a table and you start drawing, or you put a paper on it and something. So we all should take an operating system as a drawing board. So on a drawing board, then you can now put your tools for drawing, or maybe a paper or other stuff. And let's assume that without a drawing board, we cannot perform our functions. So operating system is that software that enables your device, a computer, your mobile phone, to function, which allows you to now go ahead and install your favorite applications, maybe VLC, Firefox, Google Chrome, etc., etc. I hope this gives some room now for me to top up. So for every operating system, at its base, or the foundation of every building, is that when they're coming to construct, you see they dig a hole, they put some blocks, some concrete in the ground before continuing. But the foundation of every operating system is what we call a kernel. And Microsoft has theirs, Apple has theirs, any operating system you see has a kernel. OSGeo Live is built on the kernel called the Linux kernel. So it's a Linux operating system, a Linux-based operating system. Why? Because the Linux kernel is free and open source. Notwithstanding, OSGeo Live is not the only Linux distribution or Linux operating system there. It is also based on another one called Lubuntu, which you can see here. And Lubuntu is also based on Ubuntu. So it's kind of like father of a father, sister of a sister, a friend of a friend of a friend of a friend of that kind. So whatever you can do, if you use Ubuntu already, whatever you can do in that your Ubuntu, you can do similar in OSGeo Live. Now, a lot of the talking, we stop now and we can jump down. Now, when the homepage of OSGeo Live, that is live.osgeo.org, you see some quick starts, some useful links over here. Reading this first page is very useful. The presentation I'm coming to use, skip through quickly. It's here. You can find the link here on this. And all other things I'll show you, maybe how to create, get started, changing the language. If English is not your primary language, OSGeo Live is Linux, and Linux has many languages, so French, German, whichever you like. How to install it on your computer, how to run in a virtual machine, which I will demonstrate, and how to create a bootable USB drive. Then you can start your computer from it instead of the Windows or the Ubuntu on your computer, and some other things here. So I jump to the presentation tab, so it's here. So the last non-stable version, it's 15 from August. I mentioned it's the GNU Linux distribution. So distribution is just to say that it's one type of operating system based on the Linux kernel. So that's what distribution means in the Linux land. This is how it looks. When you start it, you have kind of the menu to the side. You have a background picture. It is named, or the picture you see as the desktop background is coming from the location for the FOSS4G conference. And the recent one was in Firenze, that is Florence in Italy. Based on Lubuntu, which is also based on Ubuntu version 22.04, which is LTS. LTS means long-term support, meaning you can use this OSGeo Live for the next, I think, 6 or 4 years with continuous updates coming from Lubuntu. New things included here, some of these I've mentioned already. The recent project added to it is the ETF testing framework. I have not used it. I don't know much about it. Now, the OSGeo Live project, or OSGeo Live operating system, is made available in 2 forms. That is the ISO and then a VMDK. VMDK stands for Virtual Machine Disk. So if you have a virtual machine and you want to run the OSGeo Live in a virtual machine, the option I recommend, or that is made for you, it's the VMDK. So you just easily put it in the virtual machine as a hard disk. If you want to try it from a pen drive, or you just want to install it on your computer completely, so where you go for the ISO. So many new things I will skip. I mentioned already it's an operating system, has 50+ all-in free and open source software for geospatial, sample data sets, of course, from OpenStreetMap, and translations for quick starts and overview in a couple of languages. I talked about OSGeo already, so I skip this slide. Categories of software are included in the OSGeo Live. We have desktop GIS, and these are the desktop GIS from Grass GIS to UDIG. Browser facing, meaning that you run them from the browser. GeoNode, which is an SDR, spatial data infrastructure or content management system for geospatial data. You can see tools already here. We have web services that allow you to consume data from a remote server. GeoServer is one that produces data in well-known formats like WFS, WMS, etc. Data sources, data stores, excuse me. We have PostGIS, which is extension for Postgres that you can use to store data and see some stuff. PG routing to specialize. Navigation and maps, these categories are not like cast in stone. And if you think that the naming for this category does not sound sweet, or you can also propose. That's how we contribute. So it's just a general category for them, and how we deem them fit. This has been there before I joined the project. There's Marble, there is GeoSM, and a couple of the OpenStreetMap ecosystem tools already included here. And if you're doing statistical stuff and Jupyter, fan of the Jupyter, or you want to do some Mapnik, you have them. And domain-specific GIS, Data, of course, natural language complete data, which is a public domain data set, is included in the OSGeo Live operating system. The North Carolina data set is there, some NetCDF data and OpenStreetMap data based on the location of the first 4G conference. So not the entire OpenStreetMap data, but a bounding box around the city or the conference venue for where it was when the conference was in Dar es Salaam. That was version 13 or 12, if I remember. It was from OpenStreetMap and based in the center of Dar es Salaam. Firenze, the same. Geospatial libraries, GDAL down to GTS already there. If there is QGIS, then you know GDAL is already there. And the project OSGeo Live is run by a project steering committee. You can find more information about it and who is contributing, who is supporting. Translators are part, people reviewing the documentation, and many other things are also part. Now, a lot of talking. Let's see some action. I jump now to my virtual box. I think I will just need to shut down everything and we start from scratch again. Close. This is from the last time I spoke to your friends. I didn't turn off anything. So I assume that you are not seeing what is happening now. And then from now on, you can see. I will delete this, which I created, delete all files. I hope it doesn't delete the ISO. So this is VirtualBox. VirtualBox is a software for virtualization. What does this mean? I mentioned operating systems are not like application software. Application software example is maybe Firefox, VLC, favorite application. You just download it and install on your computer or run a command and install. The same for you on your phone and install. But operating systems cannot be used in this manner. In order to use them, you need to put them on a DVD or run them in a virtual machine. So this virtual machine here is a whole computer on its own. You create a computer and then you run this operating system on it, but just that it's running within the computer in which I am now. So it's a guest. The host is what you turn on the computer, it boots, it's Windows, Mac, or maybe the same Linux, and you can run this. So we have a host and a guest. So I want to add a new machine. So this I am showing you all is on the OSGeo live page, live.osgeo.org. So a new machine, I want to call this machine just OSGeo Live. I'll just call it 15.0 probably. Then I need to choose now the ISO. So in this case, I want to install it. So this is the same way you do if you put it on a pen drive and you restart your machine. So I choose an ISO. I recently used this, and you can see VirtualBox can detect automatically that this is a Linux operating system. It's based on Ubuntu. Of course, Lubuntu is based on Ubuntu. You can already see Ubuntu in the name, and it's 64 bits. Then I go to next. This machine needs a hard RAM and CPU. So computers have this generally. So I allocate some gigabytes, maybe, and then I increase the CPU cost to a couple, and then I go to next. Now, be mindful if your computer have very limited RAM, don't assign over 50% to the virtual machine, because this is a whole computer. It will run the same way, it will consume the same resources. Then your host, that is your main computer, becomes very slow and freeze if you want to do that. I don't want to create any virtual hard drive now, because I want to show you that with Linux operating system, you can run them live without installing. So meaning you have the power to do everything you can do when you install it without installing it. So basically, that's what I'm trying to demonstrate. I don't want a drive, everything looks good, and then I finish. Yeah, I don't want a drive. Then I have it here, then I can start it from here. So when I start this, you can see normally when you turn on, then I have the 3 options. The first one is try or install Ubuntu. So I want to try. Yeah, so the same option. I just press enter, and it's booting. So this is like turning on a computer and it's starting all the same. So this is a full machine on its own now, and is running an operating system within. And I see some things pop up in the chat. Is it a question? Let's see. So chat. Okay, it was just yes. Come back here. It gives you some information about what this operating system is like. If you have any questions, you have any problem, the default password and things are stored in passwords.txt. So if you want to connect to the GeoNode, you want to connect to some other stuff, and you need a password, it's in this password.txt file. And there we go. I can open menu. I can go to geospatial, which is similar as the categories you saw. And then you see browser facing software, desktop. I can open QGIS here. And the stable versions of software are included in the release of OSGeo Live. Now, because this is live, I will shut it down and show you how VMDK works as well. Now, the only difference between the ISO and the VMDK, that is the virtual disk image, is that there are more tools, or maybe not tools, some data packages and some things that occupy space were removed from the ISO to make it super lightweight. But with the VMDK, it's much more big. It's a complete disk on its own with many details. So I shut down this machine again, and we can now use the VMDK. I didn't want to save the state. Okay. I go to machine, close, it doesn't pop up again. Can I cancel this state? No, it doesn't cancel. Okay, let's let it be. We start this other machine, which it's from a VMDK. It's the same way I created a new machine, but this time you don't put an ISO, but you only use the VMDK you downloaded from the OSGeo Live website as the disk now, and start it. Then there you go. So this is starting, and we should be good. Nice. So you have a browser by default. You can do everything. You can still access, if you are doing this live from a USB, you can access the contents of your current computer, provided the hard drive is not encrypted, or you have the rightful access to the hard drive you need. You can mount a pen drive. You can do anything. So let's start from, I go to Geospatial again, browser facing GeoNode, and I'll start GeoNode. Did I do GeoNode? Did I start it? Okay, I go back to Geospatial, browser facing GeoNode. I need to start before I can use. Now, GeoNode is not only one application. You can see it says GeoNode is starting GeoServer. So GeoNode is based on a series of giants. It's built on the shoulder of giants like GeoServer. So it needs to start GeoServer, and then voila, we go. It opens in the browser and shows you the administration of GeoNode and whatever needs to be done. Now, on this, how do you call it? On this disk, on this operating system, it's made to run in the offline environment very well. That is how come it's packaged with a lot of resources. And I will show you on the website, the OSGeo Live website, which is live.osgeo, is packaged with the operating system in such that you see the same thing I was seeing from the browser there. And you can also see, how do we call it? You can also see the presentation is here in offline mode. You don't need internet, and all the getting started, how to create it, it's all here. And one interesting is the contents tab here, which you see the categories, desktop, GIS, and many more. We have a legend here which tells you what is in the virtual VMDK, and this is a community project, and this is a fully fledged OSGeo project. So you can see them here beside them. And there is information, quick information about the software here or the project. And there is a quick start, which gives you a quick guide on how to use or some tutorial. And this tutorial, the data set being used is already included in the operating. So you can use OSGeo Live for training purposes and for work purposes. I go back to what was the show. So these folders here contains all the tools. So we were seeing the logos everywhere. You use it based on your interest or based on what works for you or what you want to use. But I can't go without talking about QGIS, which is here quickly. I think I still have a couple of minutes. I mentioned that there is OpenStreetMap data included for based on the conference venue. So you can see that PostGIS or Postgres, if you want to do something PostGIS or Postgres and having trouble installing it, or you need to use any of these tools that you can see from the content here, and you have trouble installing it on your own computer directly, a virtual box might be one to consider with OSGeo Live, because the dirty job part of having issues and errors have already been tried. The team tries this, test it, and then package it so that everybody can run it with peace of mind. But notwithstanding, there might be issues, but very minimal of them. If you find them, you report them, and then we fix it and helps the project altogether. So with PostGIS, you see an OpenStreetMap database here, and it contains the regular. If you have worked with OpenStreetMap data already, we use it, you'll see that there is a planet OSM line, point, polygon, but also we have the roads here for appearances. So I can just put in here the lines, the points also as well. I just disable this. And when you go to properties, you see the source for this data is coming from here. You can see it's coming from the database is here, localhost, the port is 543, the user is here, and as you wish. And when we look at the attributes table, we should see things that we are used to in the OpenStreetMap tagging side. It's a lot of data. It's taking some time, but here is it. You can see you have columns. The keys become the column names. You probably amenity should be here. It's finally difficult to see it. So quickly, what can I do? I can filter this to say maybe I'm interested in tabs. So I can go to source and then query builder. I can find amenity, which is here. So amenity is equal to which one? All. Then maybe I'm interested in just ATMs. So let's see test. It has 34 ATMs in this data set. And then, here we go. I have this, but I don't know if this is Florence or not. So by default, QGIS comes with the OpenStreetMap XYZ tile. That's the base map, what you see on OSM.org in QGIS as a XYZ tile. So there you go. You have some points for ATMs within the center of Firenze, and this tells you it's coming from OpenStreetMap. If I want to super sure, I can uncheck and you see a good overlap. This is a ATM representation here, and then that is it. What else? By default, because this is made to run in the offline environment, some useful plugins are also prepackaged to the same for the other projects. So you see installed projects, I did not install them. As at the time of packaging, they will be up to that version, but maybe, yeah, there'll be a lot of progress in development so already, but at least it's packaged for an offline environment where maybe you are running a training and need to get these plugins in internet is an issue. Now, OSGeo Live as an operating system can run on a computer within your department. Maybe you are working in a municipal assembly or a district, and maybe you want to stop sharing data on a USB stick. So far as it's on a small network, if there's a small network in the office, then everybody can connect to the database and work concurrently, because yeah, with formats like maybe shapefile, you can't do that, but with database, Postgres or PostGIS, we can all map the trees in a department or in the district using QGIS and save them without issues. I think that's all I can say for now. And one last thing, you can see the languages here. This is done not only by the project team, but anybody. Maybe you are going through this, or you are trying to use OSGeo Live and you see not in the language, or there is an issue, there is a typo, you can fix it or report it, and it's fixed. And if you are at any event soon and there is an OSGeo booth, you see an OSGeo booth, not a chapter or local chapter, say, you can walk to them and ask, okay, you need a stick of OSGeo Live, probably maybe 4 gigabytes. Here, it's too much for some of us to download. You can walk to them and they will definitely have this at hand, or at an OSGeo event like Post4G, there are workshops which are using OSGeo Live as the base. So probably there's going to be a VMDK available that they distribute, and you can run them in VirtualBox. I use VirtualBox because it's free software, free and open source. Some of you might already have access to VMware or KVM or other ones, and it still works in them. Yeah, thank you very much. I think finish early in time, but if there are any questions or anything I didn't speak or any confusions, please go ahead and let's have a chat.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Enoch, any questions? Okay, it looks like there are no questions. Maybe we could end early today. Yeah,
Okay. All right. Since there are no questions, maybe I show one tip. This QGIS thing, not only on OSGeo Live. I don't know if you need data of the world, maybe countries. This one QGIS tip that I like to share a lot. So you can just type world in the coordinate box, and voila, you have this is natural left data for, I think, admin 0. So you can have the countries around, and then you can reuse this. You can edit this because it's read only for QGIS. But if you need to reuse it, what you can do is save it again or select the one that is of interest to you.
Awesome. A question on that. Is it possible to enter like a country instead of a whole world, or you have to enter the whole world, then you filter out what you want?
Okay, so let's try. Let's see which country do we try. Okay, I can try Ghana, and let's see. No, it doesn't work. So the tip is only for the whole world. And if I need Ghana, then I look at the attribute table. Of course, it's not ready cook. Okay, the name is here. So I can just I don't want to cut, so I can just limit it to name. It's equal to all, and then maybe what is Ghana? Ghana. I don't want to create a new file, so I just filter this one and use it on the fly. Yeah, that's it.
Awesome. That's a very helpful field, like tip. It's actually my first time to know it. It's very, very helpful. Instead of going to download shape files, boundaries, I think that can really work best.
Yeah, you can easily just grab this one.
Yeah. Awesome. Thank you so much, Enoch. I'm seeing Wanjen is saying it's been interesting in the idea of the OS environment, but the whole virtual machine is a bit confusing.
Okay, yeah, very much expected. So the problem is, Jane, okay, let me see, how can I explain this to you now? I will try. Which operating system do you use on your computer, Jane? If you can just put so that I know how to, which words to use well to explain. Okay, she's maybe typing. So see the virtual machine as your computer. So the virtual machine just helps you to create another computer. Good. So you are using Windows. When you turn on the computer, it's Windows. It turns on. OSGeo Live is at the same level as Windows. OSGeo Live is the same level as Android on your phone. When you restart or you turn on your phone, without Windows on your computer, it will be useless to even join this call or do anything. To be meaningless. So you can completely take your computer and say, okay, I don't want to use Windows again. I want to use Ubuntu. I want to use OSGeo Live. So the next time you turn on your computer, you don't see Windows logo spinning around there. So OSGeo Live is an operating system. If you want to use it, you need to use it on a computer like that. But computing and technology have developed, and there is something called virtualization. So now you can create a computer within a computer. So you're just creating, the virtual machine thing is only creating your computer. You have a subset of it in order for you to run an operating system inside. You use another operating system. You can have Windows in a virtual machine again. You can have maybe, oh, you miss Windows 7 or Windows XP and you want to use it. You can do the same, put it in a virtual box. And what you have to get is an ISO file that you put there and install it and do all the stuff. It's not like VLC or Firefox that you can install. But notwithstanding, you can still put it on a USB stick, a pen drive, put it in your computer, restart, and now you don't start into the Windows. You boot into the pen drive. So now you have everything and it's coming from the USB stick and not a virtual machine. That also works. You have full power of the computer. You can access your files, which are already on your existing computer, provided you have the rightful access to them. So it shouldn't be confusing because it's not just everyday software. Like you can install on your phone, go to a Play Store or App Store and just click install, next, and install. No, it's an operating system. It provides the platform for all other software to run. I hope I've been able to clarify enough. Yeah, and in the virtual machine too, you can access what is there, and the virtual machine can also see what is on your main computer. So the virtual machine creates machines that we call guests. So any operating system you're running from a virtual machine is a guest. The one you turn on, which is your Windows, is the host. So you can still see what is in the guest from the host and see what is in the host from the guest. If you share a folder with, so maybe you are working on a project, you need some tools that cannot run on Windows, like some OpenStreetMap data processing tools that don't work well on Windows. So instead of you doing it in a live boot, you said, okay, I want to do it in a virtual machine, but the data is on your host, which is the Windows. So you create a shared folder. So for example, I have one here, which is this one here. So this SFV box is a shared folder for, how do you call it, my host operating system and this virtual machine. So if I drag the file and put it on the, so I can create one here, let's say maybe create a new folder, I call it Intern. And on my main computer itself, if I go here, it's, where did I put that? It should be somewhere here. Let's see, home, and it's called VBox. Okay, let's see. Yeah, it's here. I've seen it. So it's this one. I just created a folder called Intern. So this you see here is my main computer, and this Intern is here. If I create a new file here called something, I call it SDS. If I go back to that, here you should see some SDS thing popping up in Intern, which is here. So the virtual machine thing shouldn't confuse you that much. I hope I've been able to clarify the confusion a bit. Okay. Good. Thank you. You make it seem less scary. Thank you. All right. Yeah, I think we are done. But yeah, if you need to get in touch, this is you can find me here. The OSGeo Live project is live.osgeo.org, and any information you want, you find it there. Yeah. And if you need any help, I recommend you send a message to the mailing list instead. If it's not anything personal or private, if it's something that will help someone later in the future, please do send it to the OSGeo Live mailing list, and somebody definitely might be having the same issue next time, and your thread that you start or your message you send might be helpful to them. But if you send me a private email and I respond and answer you, if somebody have this same problem tomorrow, it's only in our emails and it's dead, and it helps nobody. Yeah, thank you, and I stop here.
Awesome. Thank you, Enoch. Thank you, everyone. Have a nice day.
Yeah, thank you, and see you again sometime soon. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.